Victor took out a large syringe and inserted it into the man's back, drawing out a tube of liquid. Then, taking a deep breath, he sucked out all the liquid. After removing the syringe, the man's hunchback vanished, and the pus that had been drawn out filled an entire basin. This was just the beginning. Before the man could react, Victor slammed him against a pillar, instantly straightening his bent body. Finally, Victor took out a special suspender and put it on the man. As long as he wore it for a month, he would look like a normal person. Victor completed all of this in exactly 5 minutes. The man never dreamed that his hunchback, which had troubled him for years, would be cured in just a few minutes.
Very good.
Afterward, he washed off the dirt on his body and cut off his messy hair, instantly transforming into the handsome Igor. Just a day ago, he was a miserable hunchback clown, forced to put colorful paint on his face every day and be bullied at will.
The truth is, I didn't hate them for it. It's hard to judge cruelty when you've never known kindness.
Despite his low status, Igor was obsessed with medicine and human anatomy. He would read a large number of medical books daily, hoping to cure his hunchback, until Victor appeared and completely changed his fate. At this moment, Igor was fascinatedly watching his beloved person perform. Suddenly, Lorelei accidentally fell and lost consciousness. The miraculous Dr. Victor quickly arrived, and after examining her injuries, found that her broken collarbone was causing respiratory failure. The hospital was too far away, and there was no time for treatment, but Igor didn't want to give up. After careful observation, he believed there was another way to save Lorelei. So he asked Victor for a pocket watch and placed it under her broken collarbone. Victor instantly understood his intention. When Igor was about to start, Victor stopped him. To save Lorelei, both of them had to exert force at the same time. Together, they realigned her dislocated bone, and Lorelei was saved.
Breathe. Part of the act.
Victor found it unbelievable that a clown from the circus had such advanced medical skills. For Victor, having Igor stay in the circus was simply a waste of talent. However, the ringmaster overheard Victor's words and immediately told Victor to leave. To prevent Igor from escaping, the ringmaster burned his medical books and locked him in an iron cage, threatening to break his legs if he tried to escape. But that night, Victor appeared again, planning to rescue Igor and make him his assistant. As a result, they were discovered and pursued by the ringmaster.
Get away from that kite!
Seeing this, Victor picked up a torch and threw it into a pile of fireworks, successfully rescuing Igor with the explosion. Back at Victor's home, Victor asked Igor to take off his coat. When Igor saw what Victor had in his hand, he panicked. Then, the opening scene happened. Meanwhile, Igor was immersed in the joy of being able to stand up straight. Victor arranged a bedroom for him, and Igor felt warmth. Early the next morning, Victor had already left, and Igor curiously looked at the instruments in the house. Walking on the street, no one recognized him as the hunchback clown, which made him very happy. He visited Lorelei at the hospital, but the conditions there were very simple. On the street, he saw wanted posters of himself and Victor, and he panicked. But Victor reassured him, telling Igor that he was no longer the old hunchback. Igor asked Victor why he saved him, and Victor said Igor was an unexpected surprise. Although Igor had been ugly and deformed, his mind was clear and full of wisdom. Most importantly, his medical skills were superb. At this moment, Igor didn't know that Victor was about to complete a crazy biological experiment with him. Looking at the things in front of him, Igor was instantly shocked. Victor showed him a pair of eyes that were already 3 months old, created by Victor himself. Using electricity, Victor activated the eyes, and they moved strangely. Upon careful observation, Igor immediately discovered the anomaly. He told Victor that the nerves in the eyes were wired incorrectly, causing uncoordinated blinking. Victor was instantly delighted, realizing he needed Igor's medical genius. Victor told Igor that everything in the lab belonged to him, every book and every machine. As his assistant, Igor needed to have an aggressive mind capable of changing the world of science. Igor, who had never been valued, was suddenly filled with gratitude. In the following days, Victor brought various animal organs for Igor to repair their nerves. Under Igor's superb medical skills, all these organs came back to life. During this time, Lorelei had a donor and her body recovered. Igor was happy for her but missed her. One day, he met Lorelei at a banquet. Seeing Igor as a normal person, she felt happy for him and hugged him. Lorelei was very grateful that Igor saved her. Igor told her that now he had a name. He was called Igor. At this time, the continuous amputation of animals quickly attracted the attention of the police. After an investigation, they listed Victor as a suspect and issued a citywide wanted notice. But Victor and Igor were unaware of this and continued their crazy experiments. As time passed, they pieced together organs to create a monster. Under the activation of electricity, the monster unexpectedly came alive. Igor was instantly shocked because they had created a life. Although it was just a monster, it was still a great miracle. Next, they planned to use the monster to get sponsorship for their next experiment. But when they showcased their achievements at the medical school, the foul smell emanating from the monster made many people leave the room, leaving only Finnegan, who was there to make fun of it. Victor immediately instructed Igor to turn up the power to the maximum. With the injection of electricity, the monster started moving but became extremely violent and went on a rampage. Victor quickly realized that the monster didn't have a soul and only knew to attack humans. To stop the crisis, Victor destroyed the experimental subject himself. Although their experiment failed, Finnegan was still very interested and expressed his willingness to sponsor their next experiment. What surprised Finnegan was that Victor's next creation would be a sentient, conscious being. Igor instantly panicked and believed such an experiment would be impossible to succeed, so he initially refused to participate. But Victor's kindness made Igor eventually agree. They discovered that the previous creature couldn't withstand too much energy, leading to the failure. To solve this, Igor suggested adding an extra lung and heart to the experimental subject. With this idea, they began designing and, after a week of hard work, completed the blueprint. Igor couldn't wait to share the good news with Lorelei. However, upon returning, he found the laboratory surrounded by police. Igor wanted to enter through the back door to inform Victor to escape. At this moment, Victor was still studying his experiment. Suddenly, the police chief appeared and pointed his gun at Victor. Not wanting to miss the experiment, Victor put the policeman's hand in the rotating gear when he wasn't paying attention. Then quickly fled with Igor. They boarded a carriage and escaped. At Finnegan's place, Victor told Finnegan about hurting the police officer. Finnegan said he had a country house and would prepare a carriage for them to leave as soon as possible. Victor and Igor had a big fight because of this.
What you're doing is wrong.
You have the chance here to be part of something.
Of what? Of being lied to by you? Of being hunted by the police and chased by monsters?
Just come with me.
I'm not leaving.
After Victor left, Finnegan tied up Igor and threw him into the river.
Tie him up and put him in the carriage.
Igor successfully rescued himself using his body characteristics. Looking at the pocket watch in his hand, Igor thought of Victor and decided to find him. Lorelei tried to stop Igor, but he told her that Victor needed him and that Victor had changed him. Seeing time running out, they began a crazy experiment to create a giant human by piecing together animal limbs and sewing 2 human hearts into the giant's body. Using lightning, they aimed to bring the lifeless giant back to life. If successful, humans would gain immortality. They bound the giant with iron chains and used a hot air balloon to conduct electricity, surrounding the giant with a powerful current. At the right moment, Victor ordered the switch to be activated. The powerful current rushed into the giant's body.
Full power on my mark! Full power! Now!
After a while, the giant slowly began to breathe and moved its fingers gently. Victor smiled with satisfaction, realizing he had created the immortality humans had been pursuing. But then an accident happened. The hot air balloon was struck by lightning again, causing the device to explode violently. the giant's iron chains broke, throwing the giant out, directly hitting Finnegan. Finnegan fell into the abyss, and the base descended into chaos. After the explosion subsided, the giant slowly stood up. Victor was filled with anticipation, viewing the giant as his creation, like his child. However, he soon realized that the giant had no expression, just a soulless shell. The sheriff who arrived quickly asked Victor to leave the giant, but Victor refused. As a result, the sheriff shot at the giant, but the bullet didn't kill it, only angered it. The giant threw Victor away with great force. The police sergeant shot at the giant crazily, but the bullets didn't hurt it. Instead, the giant ended the sergeant's life. Seeing the giant approaching Igor, Victor knew he couldn't let the tragedy happen again. Together, they picked up weapons to kill the giant. Victor thrust an iron rod towards the giant, but it had no effect. Igor quickly inserted a stick into the giant's belly, but it still had no effect. No matter how they attacked, they couldn't harm the giant. Finally, Igor pierced the giant's heart, but it stood up again. Victor remembered that the giant had two hearts. They needed to pierce the other to destroy it completely. Victor picked up a steel pipe and accurately stabbed the giant's other heart, causing it to become motionless. The world's first artificial human was destroyed. When Igor woke up again, Victor was nowhere to be found. However, Victor didn't give up and wanted to pursue his dream again in his lifetime.